Hey guys, welcome to the Parrott Bros. Today we're going to be doing a video on seats. We're going to cover some stock options, some aftermarket options, over-the-counter options, and also some DIYs as well, and probably some things you probably didn't think about. So before we get stuck into it, let's jump into the intro. As you've probably seen on the channel, I did a track day a little while ago and it got me thinking. I made a list of all the sort of things that I'm going to need to do going forward to make the car better, and seats was one of those. Now, it doesn't just have to be bucket seats. It could be something a little bit more supportive without being a full bucket. Now, it's sort of one of them, depends on how far you want to go. In this video, we're going to cover everything from stock options to aftermarket options to new options over the counter, and also a little bit of Fettley DIY as well, because I know some of you like to get stuck in and have a go yourselves and you like a bargain. eBay will be great for this. I'll put some links down in the description for some of the brackets and some of the seats, but a lot of it you'll have to do a bit of your own searching as well, but I'll put the details of what car they come from. Nice little tip there. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, nice one. Just don't forget to tap that bell icon and it will notify you of all upcoming videos. You wouldn't want to miss it, believe me. Right, let's get stuck into the seats. So, TT seats are actually mounted quite simply to the floor of the car. I'll show you some pictures now, but basically they're flat. So at the front they tip down slightly, a bit like a cat. So yeah, it's a long flat bar, and then at the front it tips down to meet the other two bolts. So actually quite a simple one. There's a couple of brackets you can buy over the counter. Cloud 9 Customs do one. And also you can buy an OMP one. I'm sure there are other brands out there. I just know that these are the two that people don't really get problems with, and there is obviously problems to be had. There is also some other options. You can do some welding options if you want to have it as low as possible. But the benefit of these plates are, the OMP and the Cloud 9, is they're only the thickness of the metal, whereas a lot of the adapters you buy on other cars, not so much TTs, do put quite a bit of space in it, so it brings the seat up naturally higher, which when you're fitting bucket seats and aftermarket seats, a lot of the time you want to be as low as possible. Buckets are obviously fixed, apart from if you have side mounted ones, and then you have the option to tilt them forwards and backwards and up a little bit. If you're fitting seats out of another car, let's say for instance some Porsche Tombstones or something like that, then you may have the option to lift the seat up and down, so you want it on the lowest possible to get the most range out of it. So that's the over-the-counter brackets. Now you can of course make your own if you like a bit of fettling. You can make a wide strip of metal or buy a plate and basically run it front to back, make it wide enough to bolt into where you need it to, and also to be able to provide fixings for the seat that you want to put in. Now on a bucket seat with side mounts, you will have L-shaped brackets which will have some sort of transferable plate as to meet up with most cars and most brackets, so that's not so bad. It's usually harder when you're putting in some other seats out of another car, because obviously every floor pan is different on different models, especially different brands. So you need to try and cater for all, and some will be really weird. Ideally, if you can buy a seat, and some of the ones I'm going to show you in a minute, you'll understand why, is basically you need to try and buy a seat that when you take it out of the car it's coming from, you can either cut or remove part of the bracket, so it still leaves you with the runners, and generally the runners are nice and flat, thus giving you a good mounting points. You can try and retain the runners, because then that way you still have backwards and forwards, because a lot of the time if it's more than one person driving, or sometimes when you're on track you like to drive a little bit closer to the pedals, when you're out on the road you like to sit in the back and look out the back window, which in the TT is only small, so I'm not sure about that. But but also it depends on obviously how high you have it, how forward or back you want it. So it's definitely, don't forget to consider runners, because that is really important. Let me show you some of the seats now. Now these are seats I've found whilst doing a bit of research on the old Facebook. Don't forget to jump onto the TT Mark 1 forum and community page on Facebook if you're not already, and you're on Facebook, no brainer, go check it out. Because if you search any kind of seats or buckets or anything like that, there will be literally lists of pictures, and everyone knows a picture helps egg you on to buy some. So first up, we've got these Bride bucket seats, covered in leather. They're pole position style. They are absolutely gorgeous. Bright blue. I mean, you can't get much lairier than that. Obviously, the bright red, but they look wicked. You've got obviously the pole positions which come in standard in the Quattro Sports, and if you spec'd it, I believe you could have got them as a spec late on in the end. There's some FK Automotive bucket seats, much similar to the Sparco ones. Fixed position high sides, tubular frames. The other thing I forget, and I always forget, I need to make a list really, is the weight save. Now, if you're looking to do track days, a fiberglass seat is going to be easily 10-15 kilos lighter than your seats, because you've got to remember your seats are obviously have all the bracketry on the bottom. They are made of a metal tubular frame with airbags in, with leather, with foam, etc. Whereas if you're fitting a fiberglass bucket seat with the world's thinnest padding and a tiny little bit of foam on the bottom, you're going to be saving 5-10 kilos a seat without a problem. So I don't know the actual reason, the actual weight of an original seat, but I know it hurts your back if you try and lean and do it on your own. So they're definitely very heavy. These Sparco Grid Q seats look similar to pole positions. While showing you these, I will say, do check the width of the seat, because some seats with wide sort of head restraints where they sit wide, not so much when they're the ones that come round and block your vision, but the ones that actually sit quite wide, you have to be a little bit careful, because you don't want it fouling on sort of where the window is, where the seatbelt comes across, and all that kind of thing, because is a massive pain in the ass, because you've got to shut your door and it's going to hit your seat, or your seat will be touching in the middle between the two. So do check the width. You can check it against some of these, because basically all the seats I'm showing you in these pictures do fit, so you know you're good for that. But I will mention it because I have seen one person say they bought some seats that didn't fit, and I don't want that to happen to you, of course. What other seats have we got? Loads of pole positions, some brides. There's some Recaros. Now these are similar to the wingbacks in RS4s, RS6s, all that kind of stuff. These are a sort of a non-fixed back seat, so you get the option of being able to tilt the front, the back up and down. They're not as good as a bucket seat, however, they are very good. If you had these as standard in the car, you probably wouldn't fit buckets unless you were competing. They are very, very nice. There's a few different styles of the same one. Now, there's one of the most popular ones is the RX8 seats. I wish I could get RX7 seats. RX8 seats. Now, these do not have a way of putting harnesses on them. So if you need harnesses, we'll discuss harnesses in a minute. But if you need harnesses, that's not the one for you. But the RX8 seats are very popular because they are cheap. They look quite buckety. They've got a nice shape to them. Usually they're two-tone, so they might be black outers, red inners. And they're quite a nice option. I've seen them go for £100-150 for a pair. There's quite a lot of information about fitting them as well on the Facebook, of course. These are out of a S5, I believe. These are similar sort of tombstone-y looking seats, really nice and comfortable. Full electric adjustments, you'll be able to wire that in. They also have heating, so if you can work out how to suss that out, you can also put the heating in as well, but they are heavier than TT seats, so do bear that in mind. We've got some Porsche-style two-piece seats with the old wine backs. It all depends on whether you want the wine backs or, yeah, also some Porsche GT3 RS seats. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I usually am. Also got some super sport seats here out of a newer Audi. Looks like a Mark III TTRS seats with the pleated leather centres. That diamond stitch, man. If you know, you know. What else we got? We've got some Porsche ones. We've got some are they Corbus? No, they're called Conics. But yeah, they look like the Corbu seats. I don't know how you say it. Something like that. Corbu. Some more RX-7 seats and some Porsche Tombstones. Now these are super popular. Quite a nice looking seat. A bit old and dated now. They're probably not that easy to get hold of nowadays because obviously everything Porsche is really expensive. But that gives you sort of a rough idea of what's available. Oh, sneak a couple more in. There's some S1 Super Sport seats here, which are in Richard's car. Richard George, if anyone's on the Facebook, you know him. And some pictures of the OMP seats that my man fitted in his lovely TT here, the blue one. If you know, you know, Jamie's car. Very nice. These are quite wide. But yeah, very nice. Look at the sides on them. Big old sides. You definitely won't be going anywhere on track in them. Now, So we've done seats. Basically, that is seats. If you have any questions, as always, down in the comments, I'll be more than happy to have a go at helping you. Can't promise I will, but I'll do my best. But so basically, harnesses right now. If you want harnesses, you do need to consider where you're going to mount them to. Now, there's a load of options, but ideally you want the safest one. You can mount harnesses to a roll cage if you have a roll cage. If you have a harness bar, you can mount them to a harness bar. I found one. I'll put it down in the description. You cannot mount them to a seat delete bar because they are held on with the tiniest little grub screws. And if you have an impact, they will come straight past you and then you will be heading forwards as well. So do not recommend. But basically, if you've already stripped the back out and you're fitting bucket seats, it's going to be very easy because you can put eyelets in the points where the rear seat belt's mounted prior. There's plenty of mounting points in that rear seat bench at the bottom. The other issues you'll have is ideally you need to put them in the plate or make a decent fixed mounting point, because obviously that's what's going to save your life if you have a crash. You need to make sure that they are correctly fitted. If you're not sure, get someone with some expertise to fit them, because at the end of the day, guys, safety comes first. If you can, and if you are fitting any other kind of seat, do remember, if you're taking your seat out, the seat belt will come with it, so you do need to work out how to mount that back in again, regardless of whether it's a bucket or not. So it's quite simple. If you're making a bracket, you can put it into the bracket because the bracket is fixed, same as the original one is mounted to the seat as well. So that's not an issue, but just make sure you get a good fixing. You can buy these eye bolts from anywhere, decent motorsport companies, eBay, and these basically bolt in. Normally have a weird thread like an M14 or a weird pitched thread. You can buy them specifically for your seatbelt mounting point, so do check the thread style before buying them. But basically you can mount them depending on whether you've got 4 point, 6 point, 3 point, whatever it is that you want. If you've got 6, you're going to need to find quite a few decent mounting points. So remember, 1 each side, 2 in the middle, 2 at the back. So just make sure your seat's going to sit high enough, because if you fit a bucket seat on a flat plate, you're not going to be able to put them through the middle. So there's a lot of things to bear in mind when fitting a seat. But if I give you all the information, then you don't. If you do cock it up, you didn't watch the video, watch it again. And if you didn't cook it up, make sure you give it a thumbs up and send me some pictures, because I love to see what you guys are up to. But yeah, no, apart from that, that's kind of all the information I found, and I've had from previous experience of putting bucket seats on the cars, in cars on the cheap, as we all do. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.